I always say that the men I've dated, loved, or just fucked have all taught me a little bit about myself. I've been dating since I was 16 and made a lot of mistakes. Or maybe we've all just been figuring things out together. Dating is about meeting new people and discovering what turns you on about them and what you can't stand about another person. Maybe you find someone who's fun for a month and then it dies out fast. Maybe you meet someone who's more of a friend. Or maybe you find someone you spend every waking hour with for years only to have a horrible breakup that leaves you wondering why you even like that person in the first place. As corny as it sounds, it's all part of the journey. The deeper I go with someone, the more I learn about myself, and with a rare few, I end up working through things I didn't even know were there. I carry that knowledge with me to the next guy, either to be a little less crazy myself or to teach someone new how to love me. I might do all this subconsciously, but I know that I used to think I'd never even come out, let alone have deep and meaningful relationships with men. So I really do appreciate the moments I get to share with guys in a romantic way. In this episode, I chat with David Jacques, also known as Davey Wavey, about our experiences with hooking up and dating men. We talk about what we've learned and how we navigate finding good sex in a digital age. This is Mask Off for Mask, and I'm Vance. Hey, Davey.
Hey.
Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, it's
Yeah.
good. All right. So today we have a guest who is a true pioneer in LGBTQ plus digital content. With millions of followers across the globe, Davey has spent over a decade creating bold sex positive videos that spark conversation, challenge taboos, and promote authentic self-expression. As the founder of Himros TV, he's redefining queer intimacy through erotic education. Things things are just about to get steamy, smart, and just the right amount of inappropriate. Welcome, David Jacques.
That's so funny. So that's a little chat GPT. I mean, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Pioneer is an interesting to think of myself as a pioneer. Well, yeah, I am old and tired, and so I I guess that
Yeah.
kind of qualifies.
Well, do you ever think about yourself as doing something that's different than everyone else?
No. Yeah, yeah. I mean, 99% of my day is like Zoom meetings and answering emails and just the kind of mundane stuff. And then it's punctuated with this like 1% of like, international travel to these incredible destinations, filming beautiful men like engaged in authentic intimacy. 99% of the day is just the same stuff that I'm looking at Excel spreadsheets and doing the same thing that everyone else does.
Yeah, totally. And doesn't it also just get to be like, I mean, even for me, like making porn, the way that I felt about porn before I made porn is not the same way that I feel about it now. Like before I was like, oh,
Completely.
it's so exciting. And it still can be, but I think the adrenaline of it kind of has gone to like, oh, okay, it's just this experience that I know what it's like now.
Totally. The other day, I was reviewing edits from our most recent shoot, which was in Italy, and my azaleas are blooming out the window. And I found myself like, instead of watching the like explicit gay porn on my screen, I was like distracted by the beauty of the azaleas. I was like, okay, this is when you're a little bit numb to what you do.
Yeah. Well, I'll say that's how the first time we met was you graciously invited me to come do a shoot with you guys, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, over a year ago now.
Oh, yeah, like a year and a half over that, almost 2 years in
Yeah,
the fall.
yeah.
Yeah, that was great. And I think like that was my first time ever working on like a real porn studio shoot. I was kind of nervous to do it because I'd never worked on a porn shoot before. But it's funny, I tell people all the time that I'm like, the only thing that I did for myself was that I made sure what I do in sex is I always just bring up, I'm like, if I'm not feeling good or if it's not feeling comfortable, just make sure you say something, even if there's like 7 or 8 people all there watching you stop the moment that I was like, oh, I got to do that. So it's like, I always tell people, I'm like, if I can do that, then you can do that with like one person having normal sex.
Totally. And also we want the models to do that because it's not fun for us to film something where where it's not what the models want to be doing. If it feels like you're just trying to like make it work or let me just push through, like that's not going to be an interesting scene, right? So we would
Mm-hmm.
rather have someone say, "Hey, I need a minute," or "Hey, this isn't working," or "Hey, can we do this differently?" Because you always get a better product at the end.
Yeah, totally. And so today I want to talk about our best and worst sex stories or moments or things that we're comfortable about talking about. Because I saw that video that you just posted and you were talking about a threesome and all the stuff that can happen with it. And I wanted to talk about this on here, but I've always been kind of
Yeah.
like, okay, how do I talk about sex stories without bringing other people too much into it? How do
Right.
I
Right.
just, and then I'm just like, well, I'll just say the ones that no one will ever watch this.
Right. Right. Yeah. You'd be surprised and you'll hear someone be like, was that about me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a lot of bad sex and I would say like a few instances of sex that was like really good that really stand out. And this is also like as someone I'm in an open relationship and 41. Something as I've kind of gotten into my 40s has felt, I don't know, more interesting for me is like I think when I was younger, I craved novelty, right? Like I wanted different partners. There's something exciting about finding someone new. Maybe you get some validation from like, this guy's into me. But oftentimes when I hook up with a new partner, I mean, the likelihood that there's going to be like, or like it's just going to fit, it's going to be a great connection. I don't know, maybe it's like 25-30% of the time that happens. For me at 41, like I would rather kind of go to a partner that I've had sex with rather than try to find someone new. Someone that I've connected with before, that we have that kind of established chemistry where I know he respects my boundaries. Um, yeah, like that novelty piece has become less important, and I just want to have good sex rather than like craving the newness. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's kind of the same way for me too, is that because what I hate the most is if I've left my place to go hook up and then I'm in the middle of hooking up and being like, let's just finish this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I could have just stayed home and jerked off.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's like, but I'm kind of that way with everybody for any reason, but I'm like, I don't want to leave where I'm comfortable unless I know it's going to be good.
Right. Right. Like I douched for this. Like that's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I shaved, I douched. Yeah. I would rather have like great sex with 5 people, than like have experience 20, 30, 40 people and most of it be like okay or a regret.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that with the novelty or the excitement piece is like I find that like sometimes those spur of the moment things happen and it's really great, but I don't go looking to create that. Like I
Hmm.
can like explore with partners and things that I feel safe with, but when it comes to like I never go on Grinder or Scruff or whatever, like it just feels like a lot of energy wasted for not a lot of good stuff that comes out of it sexually for me. But if I'm like it was actually funny. I was out dancing recently and we were at the bar was really busy, whatever. And so I was like making out with this guy on dance floor and stuff. And we're like, let's go to the bathroom. But the bathroom was like packed with people. So we were just like standing on the staircase up towards the bathroom and like standing with our backs up against the wall and he had his hand down my pants and then I was like telling him to finger me and so people were like walking by and kind of being like I think something's going on because it was
Hmm.
like full in front of everyone, right? And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, this is really hot and exciting. But again, I didn't go out planning that any of that would happen. It just kind of was really spontaneous. And then I remember leaving and being like, fuck, that was really hot. That was really fun. But I don't think I could recreate that moment if I tried to plan it so much.
Also, do you think that like if you had seen, would you have responded to his profile on Grinder with like the same enthusiasm of experiencing him in real life? I mean, and maybe you would, but I think I say this because often I think we have in our head like this is what my so-called type is, right? This is the kind of guy I'm looking for, and you're sorting through your Grinder grid trying to find that guy. And actually, a lot of the best sexual experiences that I've had have been with guys that maybe I wouldn't have like responded to on Grinder or hit up on Grinder or are outside of kind of this more narrow type that we tell ourselves we have. That in real life you're kind of more open to the possibilities and the chemistry, and it's exciting to kind of surprise yourself. And Grinder takes all that away. Uh, oh, it's tricky.
It's also just so like, I mean, that's why I like when people have like social media tagged to their like Grinder profile. So I can like try to be like, okay, maybe I get like a better idea of who this person is than just 4 pictures. Because
Right.
there's also times like because again, I never do really like a Grinder hookup of like come over. Cause like I think the last time I did that was like a few years ago. And I remember the guy showed up and I was like, well, you're like 15 years older than your picture, which was fine. I don't care about that, but like looked like a different person. So now I'm like spending the first part of sex trying to get used to the new person I'm having sex with because I expected someone else. So now I'm like in my head being like, okay, you should have updated those pictures.
Yeah, yeah, it does feel a little misleading, but also I would say actually like to me, trust, honesty, like these are things that are really important foundational elements of a like of what would be a good hookup. And if someone has lied about their pictures, it makes me wonder what other things they might not be telling the truth about, such as their sexual health, like that they're recently tested or whatever it is, or that they're going to like if they didn't respect me enough to be honest about the photos, are they going to respect my boundaries? So I do find things like that really do matter. I also do have compassion for, especially guys that are older. If they have their accurate age or accurate photos, maybe they don't get the same level of response, right? So there's a temptation to kind of play with that a little bit.
But
So
then,
yes, I hear that side too.
yeah. But then I always think too to this, to if you're going to lie about your age or, I notice like a lot of guys, if they're 42, will say they're 39, right? It's always
Right,
like 49 if
right,
they're 54.
right.
And my only thing, and that's fine if you want to lie if you're just looking for hookups, but I'm like, why are you coming out of the gate with like a lie of who you are? Like, make sure your intention is like, well, I just want to hook up, so this is easier to just hook up and I don't care. But make sure that your photos look at least a bit accurate so that people don't get disappointed. At least, or make your photos worse than what you look like so that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you show up, people are a bit like they're pleasantly surprised.
Now, I also understand that there's maybe more people that are like, oh, my cutoff is 49, and so 52 is older than what I'm into, and you may get fewer responses. I would rather have people be into me at 52 and get fewer responses than tricking someone into thinking that I'm 49. It also, like, when you show up, it's nice when someone's like, oh, wow, you look really good for your age. I'd rather look good for my age and be 41 than have people think that I look like a ragged 35-year-old. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh,
And
this
the
this
funny,
she's got some miles on her.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know what the funny thing, like when I was in my 20s, every guy I slept with or dated was like around 50, I would say was the sweet spot. Because I've always liked older men. I'm noticing it's kind of changing for me as I get older. But when I was in my 20s, I loved like a salt and pepper haired older
Mhm.
man. Like, do you know who our new prime minister is? Mark Carney.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think he's so fucking hot. Like
He's super into it.
yeah, and he's not just the way that he looks; he's also just super cute in his mannerisms. I'm not even talking about like politically ideals and all that stuff. It's just his like the way that he kind of what's the word?
Like the way he
The
carries
way he
himself.
presents it. Yeah, the way he carries
Yeah.
himself. He's
Yeah.
just super cute and he's sexy and he's got this kind of like power thing to him, which I think was the reason why I love these older men.
Yeah. Well, look, I get it. I mean, I'm 41, my boyfriend's 21, and I think like he lives a much more chaotic life than I do, and I think he craves the stability that like I bring to the table as someone who's 41. The stability, the security, knowing oneself deeper, whatever, all those things he craves, and I provide that. And then he provides for me like the energy and enthusiasm of for life that maybe when you're 41 starts to diminish a little bit. Like he's still really like engaged and alive, and he's not a jaded, cynical old queen like me. so, so we each kind of bring something to the table. So I definitely get the age difference thing.
Do
Yeah.
you find that you're able to like act a bit younger and more like him now that he's in your life?
I think yeah, I end up being more playful with
Hmm.
him in my life. And I mean, and conversely, there are points of tension, right? That like when I first dropped him back off at college, that he was like nervous when I kissed him goodbye because he wasn't fully out yet. And I was like, but also he's 21, and that's where you are when you're 21. And so if you're going to date someone that's 21, you can't be mad at them for being 21, right? You have to give them the
Yeah.
time to grow and evolve. And he has grown and evolved so much. So yeah, it's an interesting experience, and you don't want to fall into the trap of like being his dad, right? To like, to just let him live his life and do the things that we all did when we were 21. What I will say though is, uh, when it comes to guys, he likes older guys. I struggle to connect with guys that are like even my age and a little bit older. And I think like part of that tension for me is just the relationship that older guys have with boundaries, that younger folks are more in tune with like consent, and I think they're like more willing to have that conversation and more respectful of those boundaries, whereas older guys just lived in a different world and haven't really adjusted to this world. In those situations, it can feel a little bit, at times, it can feel a little bit unsafe. I'm curious, like, as someone who likes older guys, like, do you often find yourself in a situation where maybe they have a different relationship with boundaries?
Yeah, I mean, if I think about when I was in my 20s, so in my early 20s, I was a big drunk. So I was going out and sleeping with older men, but doing it like completely hammered. Like I tell people this story of like there was one time I like was in a blackout and I came to and I was having sex with someone and I was like, who am I having sex with? Because I don't even remember who I
Okay.
went home with, right? So, but anyway, my point to this is that I would be sleeping with these older men, and I always thought like, or I thought later in life, but I thought, why did these older guys think I was attractive? I was such a fucking mess. And I was like to me, I'm like, I'm so much more of a, like, if I look at myself now, I'm like, oh, I feel so much more attractive because I feel so much more like I got my shit together and I'm more confident. But like, I felt like I got more attention still when I was 21 and a mess.
Yeah.
So I think that there was an aspect of a lot of older men might be like, oh, I'll fuck this 21-year-old because it's going to make me feel better about myself. And that's more of the intention with it. Like they
Hmm.
might think I'm really cute and twinky and stuff. But I mean, if you enter into, like, if you're trying to have sex with me and I'm me at 21 all fucked up, like, if I was a 50-year-old man, I would go, you know what? This is probably not a good idea. I think you need to go to bed. But,
Go to sleep.
yeah. But I did have, so I was lucky enough to have a partner when I was 25 who is 47, I think, when we met, or 46. And he was amazing. And so you mentioned the thing about like not being his dad. Like what I needed at that time was I needed like a parent figure. And so he kind of came into my life and was like, okay, get your shit together. Like, I'm going to put your life in a spreadsheet and this is how you're going to
Yeah.
like get better and grow. And I'm so grateful for that. And for me, it was like my childhood trauma of having a dad that worked all the time, didn't really do the role as parent because he was just working all the time and not around. So when I had this father figure come into my life and all of a sudden start being like, putting his foot down and being like, you're gonna like work on yourself, you're gonna go to therapy, you're gonna do all this, it made me a better person. I was like, oh fuck, that's just what I needed.
Well, okay, and that apparently, worked for your dynamic. I'll say for myself
Yeah.
that being in that headspace of being like a parent is very unsexy. I can
Yeah.
do it, but I'm not going to feel a lot of eroticism
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're taking care of someone, it's also, I don't know, it just kind of can be a little off.
Well, and so in a situation like, are you saying if he does something where in your mind you go, I wish I could just tell him he should do this because that's better? Like you're like, oh, I just need to keep my mouth shut and let him
Yeah,
figure it out
he has a
himself?
big exam tomorrow and he's going to go out, with his friends drinking tonight.
Hmm.
And I'm like, "Oh, that's a bad idea." Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you know what? Like, he's not asking me my opinion, and it's just a fucking exam. Unless it's a situation where I feel like permanent harm or like trauma is the
Yeah.
result,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
keep my mouth shut. And then, he does it, and maybe he um like oversleeps and misses the exam or fails the exam,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, okay, well, what did you expect? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
you just have to allow people the freedom to learn and grow and evolve. And if you're in a big age difference relationship, I feel like that's like especially, I can't hold him to the standard of a 41.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I think with my partner, he didn't really. It wasn't. I mean, I think there was a sense of control that he, not like in a bad
Sure.
way, but he felt like he was like, oh, I want to help you, and I feel like it, like you're a bit of a project. Relationship was so much more of that, but I felt like he felt very proud of the fact that like he saw the fruits of his labor
Well,
when I
yeah.
became a yoga teacher and stuff, and because he was happy to see me happy. And so for me, I was like, I needed that dynamic really badly because I was so far away from stability and security.
Yeah, well, and I think for some of us, like most of us don't have actual children, and I think we have some like untapped paternal energy that needs expression or that craves expression, and sometimes taking a younger guy under your wing, I think provides some of that. And yeah, maybe the wires get a little crossed if we also have sex with that person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's just an expression of that untapped energy that we crave expressing.
hmm So when you were younger, did you like older men, or were you always just into like younger guys?
Yeah, but I think like when I was in college, older for me meant like 27, right?
Yeah.
Like I thought a 27-year-old was so mature and like, oh, they had their life
Yeah.
together. And I think there were a few times when I was in college where I hooked up with guys in their 30s. And I think when I was a teenager, guys probably in their 40s, and some of those experiences were really bad. Um, I think that my body still carries some of that trauma because I'll see a guy that's like 45 that I think is super sexy and hot, but I can also feel my body shut down because I think it's remembering some of those experiences. Like, I mean, I really started young. As soon as we got the internet, I was like 13, 14 years old. And
hmm
I knew I like craved men, but I didn't care who it was. Like, as long as they were willing to come over my house, and my parents would be like out to dinner, and I'm like
hmm
13 years old, inviting a 40-year-old man over. And
Seriously?
yeah,
Like
oh yeah,
13 and a 40-year-old?
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And I don't think I was even smart enough to say, like, I'm actually 18. Like, I think I was probably just really, I was naive. I was young. And I remember this one guy that came over and it was a terrible experience. Like, I mean, I was molested, right? And he
Yeah.
left. And I thought to myself, so I came like during the sex and I was like, oh, so I guess I'm in love with him. Like, I guess this is
Mm.
what love is. And that kind of sticks with you. Like, I kind of had this story for many years of like, look, I was craving the experience and I wasn't traumatized by it. And more recently in therapy, looking back on it, I was like, well, actually, yeah, I kind of was traumatized by it and it
Yeah.
wasn't a great experience. Um, so some of that still like, until I've done a better job of, like, processing it and healing, I think some of that still comes up with older guys, especially when I get any hint of, a boundary not being respected.
Yeah, totally. Oh wow. Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day where I because I know lots of friends that have just had really bad first sexual experiences because
Right.
they were doing it online, they weren't out, no one told them about anything. So, yeah, it's really risky. I was very lucky that my first time I had sex was in a threesome. But it was this guy who was like the head of the GSA, like the Gay Straight Alliance at the school. So he was like really sweet and nice. And I still say hi to him sometimes online. But yeah, we ended up having sex with him and his boyfriend. And there was things like I remember he started, and I wasn't even out. Like this was the first time I had ever even vocalized to someone else that I liked guys. And so like he went to rim me and I was like, that feels really good. And so I was like, well, if that feels really good, then a dick in my ass must feel amazing. And so I was like, I want you to fuck me. And so as soon as he went in me, it was like, oh no, I can't do this. I can't do this. But he was like, okay, that's fine. That's all right. Like we
Right.
don't have to. So it felt very like loving and it was okay. And even like I spent the night and in the morning they were like, giving me a hug and holding me. It was the first time I said I was gay, like out loud to anyone or out loud at all. And so I was like, oh, it was a really nice experience. And then it made me feel like, oh, okay, I'm out. I want to tell my friends and I want to have that again. Or like, I want to have intimacy with the man again. So I think I kind of like dived headfirst into the few gay guys in the school. And then I was like, I was getting more my heart broken because I was starting to be like, oh, I have a boyfriend now. We hung out twice. And then and then I was like starting to get ghosted and it was all that stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. And this all happened within like a month. So when I was 16.
Right. Well, in that threesome that you had, which felt very loving and supportive for you, could have been awful for someone else that say like DL, they're just looking to get their dick sucked, like they're not craving a connection, they just want to come. And so to me, it speaks to the importance of like being on the same page with your partner. And I think something you learn later in life is like people aren't going to read your mind. And so I think it's completely, at least for me, it's really helpful to say to a person, like, what's your expectation? Like, what are you looking to get out of this? And sometimes it can be like, I'm just looking to come. Like, I'm just looking to get my dick wet. Sometimes it's like, well, I really want to feel loved and supported. I want to experience pleasure. I want to try something new. I want to learn about my body. I want to feel really validated. Great. Like, whatever it is, like, let's talk about that and see if we're on the same page. Because when there is a mixed match, like if someone that just wants to get their dick wet comes over and people are like, come sleep with us, spend the night, like that's also like not great, right?
Yeah.
So, but also those conversations are hard to have.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I was like, those words that you were using, like I lead down, I'm going to be talking to someone online and they're going to be, I want connection or whatever. Like, I think what you were saying about like be intentional or like say, be upfront about what you want. Like one of the things that I think that we have to get better at is like I remember going to hook up with this guy one time. And we were chatting at like 7 a.m. because I'm up that early. And so he's like, you should come over. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I can come over in like a couple hours. And so he's like, yeah. And so I was like, oh, he's hot. Like, yeah, this would be fun. And then I go over and then like it didn't occur to me till I got to his place that it was like, wait a minute, he's messaging at 7 a.m. looking for sex. Like, I hope he's not fucked up. And as soon as I opened the door, he was fucked up, which is fine. No shame to that, but I'm not. So we're on like two different levels and he was struggling to stay hard and, you know, because he hadn't slept, he's still high and all of that is fine. But I'm like, hey, I'm not enjoying this experience. I don't mind that you're high, but like, it would have been great if you told me that, because I probably would have been like, actually, I'll pass. Like, I don't want to leave my place to go hang out with someone who's high when I'm not, right? Because I'm just like, this is really hard to connect to you.
Yeah. And to have the courage to express that, I think is actually really difficult. I think a lot of people, when they open the door and they see that he's like, most people just go through, they're like, well, I'm here. Like, I don't want to disappoint this person. Gosh, I don't really know how to express this. And then you kind of go through the motions and have these experiences that aren't so great. And what I hope people can take away from this is like, actually, you owe it to yourself to really advocate for what it is that you want. And if something's a no, to be able to say that. No one's entitled to your body. Doesn't matter if they took an hour subway to get to you. Like, they still are not entitled to touch you in whatever way they want. There was speaking of like bad hookups, there's this guy that used to live around here who I hooked up with every now and then over the course of a few years. And it was always the same thing. He was super, super, super hot, had this beautiful body, this gorgeous dick, and he was closeted, and he'd come over and we'd have sex. As soon as he came, it was like he was on a seesaw of like horniness and then shame, right? And so after he comes, then the shame just like takes over. He just can't get out fast enough. And he'd always be like, well, that was the last time. I'm never doing this again. And then 2 weeks later, of course, he's like messaging you, hey, can we hook up again? So finally, at some point, I had to be like, look, like, you're 25. This is the place that you're in. You're still wrestling with your sexuality. That's fine. That's part of your journey. But like, as someone who has struggled with enough internalized homophobia, especially earlier in life, it's not interesting for me to watch the shame wash over your eyes after you nut and see you stand there hating what you've done, and like me be the, you know, the symbol of like your self-hatred while I watch you pull your clothes up and swear that you'll never have sex with me again. I'm like, yeah, that's I get where you are. It's not for me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, maybe I'll see you in 5 years when you figure it out, but like, it's not that interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think there's a lot of guys that are just that want to explore sex more, but like, you know, they're trying to do it on Grindr and Scruff without any knowledge of how to deal with this stuff. And And a lot of it is like you could just be upfront and say, hey, like I'm closeted. I struggle with this a bit and, I have these issues. Okay, like thanks. I'm really nervous about hooking up and I'm really nervous about doing these things. Okay, well, I get your story. That's okay. And we'll see if like maybe you feel a bit more relaxed that you're just at least open with the fact that you struggle with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. But I don't think someone that's struggling with it is going to have the vocabulary to really like
Yeah, yeah.
articulate that. And so I think when I was in my 20s, I didn't really care so much. Like I'd be more willing to put up with that. Less so in my 30s. Now in my 40s, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not. What they're not realizing is that like they're actually living out a trope, like a well-worn trope that like they're going to block you when they leave your house. It's just like
Yeah.
I could tell you exactly what's going to happen, like how
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
going to play out. He's going to come. He's going to immediately, he's not going to care if you've gotten off or not. Like, he's going to immediately put his clothes on. He's going to get in his car and block you. He's going to
Yeah.
drive off and then 2 weeks later message you again.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of why I'm like I'm very like I'm always open to like meeting new guys, but I'm like I find that the moments where you can meet people in real life and have like organic chemistry and figure it out and be like, oh, okay, I like this person, and there's something about this person that feels nice and I'm attracted to them, that I'm like, that's kind of where I keep things open to, instead of, because like all that shit, right? Like you can't tell that through like a grinder picture.
Right. Yeah, you can't. You can't. And it's in a world that's increasingly, like app based, it's harder and harder to find spaces, I think, to connect with people in that way. But it seems like, I mean, you live in Toronto. There's probably like some opportunity to connect with guys in real life. Like how do you do that in Toronto?
So if I think about like even if I think about the guys that I've dated in the last few years, for like 10 years or whatever, like they've always just been these moments of like I've been out dancing. Like I love electronic music, so like I love a rave. And so if I see some boy dancing at the rave and knows how to dance and is just feeling himself, I will be like instantly, oh my God, I want to know that boy. Because my thing too also is like, yeah, you might look great in photos, but I need to see how you move in your body.
Okay.
So, because I can tell just by doing this work, right, is that I can tell when someone is like really nervous and anxious and like really stiff and, has a really hard time with just feeling relaxed in their body. But then when I see people like dancing or doing what they love, or even if it's like, oh, they love yoga or whatever, that feels a bit like, oh, well, this person knows how to be in their body in an authentic way. Like this boy dancing at the rave, you know what? I'm pretty sure he loves dancing. He's just like feeling himself. And that's the thing that I'm attracted to. But it could also be just some guy talking about his feelings or being like genuine and emotional that'll be like, oh, that's so sweet. Like I'll be attracted to that. So like that's what the things that I kind of look for. The thing though I find, and I'm sure this is like a big city thing, is that yeah, there's a lot of guys, but it feels also like a lot of people trying to just fit in. So there's not a lot of diversity with the guys. Like everyone is kind of just doing the same thing, trying to do all the same things as the other guys, look like all the other guys, and I know it's this like safety thing, but I'm not attracted to if I can just tell that, oh, everything that you present that you like, well, like, I mean, okay, so you like fitness, travel, and circuit parties. I was like, well, so do like, 100,000 other gay men in the city, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
what
Like
is
what are
it
your
about you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think this is a great tip for folks that are listening is I think when you're on a date, just pay attention to this. It's very in yourself and in the partner that you're with. It's very easy to say what you don't like. That's very safe, right? And you can
Hmm.
even kind of like, oh, I don't like Katy Perry, blah 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 blah, and you can both like kind of build on that and gossip. What's a lot more vulnerable is to say what you do like. But that's a lot more exciting for me to hear what it is that turns you on. And if it's circuit parties and going to the gym, okay. But there's got to be like other things in your life that you're really passionate about. Like I love Navajo rugs. I love,
Hmm.
gardening. Like there's a bizarre stuff that I'm really into, my CrossFit, whatever. That my I make these crazy protein shakes every day. That I have this whole I have a whole menu, and to talk about those things makes you vulnerable because a person could be like, you like fucking Navajo rugs? Like, You spend time digging, like in your garden planting ostrich ferns, like,
Mhm.
but and they can poo-poo that. But I actually think I could hear anyone talk about anything whatever lights you up, I want to hear about that. Like what brings you joy, I want to hear about that. So I would say lean into that. Like if you're on a date with someone to like, yeah, to be vulnerable
Yeah.
and share that.
And as the person that is dating someone that is right, like I don't care, like what Navajo rugs you said. So
Yeah.
like I, that's not my thing, but I
Yeah.
would be
There's one
super
right there.
curious.
See?
Yeah, yeah. So, but I would be super curious to be like, oh, that's interesting. Why do you like rugs so much, right?
Right. And I could be like, well, actually, like in Navajo rugs, a lot of them would take 6 months to weave, right? And so the female weaver would put so much heart and soul into this that there's this thing called the spirit line, where there's this one thread that cuts through the border, and it's because these women believed that their spirit was trapped in this rug because they put so much energy and time into it that they had to create this line, this like imperfection in the design, so that their spirit could get out of the rug when they were done with it. How fucking cool is that, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe it's not that cool.
yeah, yeah. It is cool.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Do you like the like the story part of it, or is it like you actually believe like it's the spirituality part of it that you like?
I like the aesthetic of like I live kind of in a cabin, and that's I think what
Hmm.
first turned me on is
Okay.
that like it's a cool aesthetic that works with the architecture of this home. But like as you get into the world of rugs, especially Navajo rugs, like the history, how the different colors, like there's a rug on my floor that you can't see, and you can know like, oh, this rug was made during World War One when dyes were not available, and so this is it's just gray, black, and white because that was the color of the sheep's the yarn that they were able to produce. So there's history to it, there's story, there's symbols, and the symbols mean different things. I have a rug over here off camera that tells a whole story through the symbols of different animals and shapes that are on the rug. It's all really interesting, and whatever that floats my boat, blows my skirt up. And I don't know, those are the things that to me, when I'm on a date with someone, whatever it is, it could be Lego, right? They're really passionate
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Lego. Tell me what it is that lights you up.
I know, like, I love Madonna, but I have these two friends, this couple, who the one loves Madonna. He goes to like every show of the tour, but his partner said something really sweet because his partner will go to as many shows as he can with him. And he said this really sweet thing that he's like, I mean, I like Madonna, but he's like, I love to see him seeing Madonna. That's what I go to the show for, is just to get to see him loving Madonna. I was like, oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah. Well, it's like when my partner, when I was talking about before, that like, I remember when I was doing my yoga teacher training in Costa Rica, and he said to me, like, he FaceTimed me, and he was like, I was gone for a month. He wasn't even there. And we were FaceTiming, and he's like, you're so happy. Like, I'm just so happy to see you just loving what you're doing. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. Like, you don't have to like what I like, but you have to like appreciate the fact that I love this thing.
Right. And if this person likes or loves you, they enjoy seeing you do
Yeah.
the things that you love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then to the flip side of that, when you're on a date, I also say that you have to be careful not to talk too much about what you like, because I've also been with guys. Okay, talk
45
about
minutes into talking about Madonna, and you
yeah,
look and they're just like glazed over. I'm like doing a deep dive into spirit lines, and they're like, okay.
but I have been with guys like that where I'm like, oh my god, he's still talking about it, and I like that's
Right.
great, but I'm kind of clocked out. Like, okay, so kind of relating to like the older man thing and all this stuff is there was this one guy who was super fucking hot, like salt and pepper hair, like beautiful body, a teacher. Like to me, I was like, oh, the fantasies that we could do. But
Right.
there was such a disconnect between what we were actually feeling when we were having sex. So, or just being in the room together. Like even when we would have sex, I remember it was just like our bodies wouldn't connect. Like if you were thinking of like two Tetris pieces, we were like there was a bunch of spaces and we could just not get to on the same flow. Like I remember one time like I was kissing his neck and I went to pull away and his hand was on the back of my neck and I couldn't pull away, but I was like forcefully doing. I'm like, can he not tell that I am
Yeah.
trying to do this? I like pull my head back. And so it's like he's not paying attention to like what my body is doing. And so when we were together, it was like, and I remember he would start going into conversations about things in the middle of sex. So I would say something like, does that feel good? And he'd be like, yeah, that's really great. You know, I haven't been with someone like that since like maybe, and I was like, oh my God, okay. Do you want to talk now? But I remember him saying like, our chemistry is so great. And I was like, no, it is not. Like, I feel like I'm struggling, but like there's something that's happening in you that you're not noticing, that I'm not feeling alive right now in this moment. I'm actually feeling like, like, is he gonna stop talking? And I like, I feel like I'm pretty obvious that if he were just to pay attention and be like, oh, maybe I'm talking too much. Maybe I need to, maybe he's not liking this. Oh, maybe like this doesn't feel so like fluid and at ease the way that I'm thinking, right? And
Yeah.
it was my fault that I didn't say anything, but this was like a casual hookup situation for a couple weeks.
But I think it's a good invitation for people listening to be like, okay, like what's my level of awareness? Because like in general, your partners will give cues, and
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like, are you paying attention to their body, to what they're saying, to the expression on
Mm-hmm.
their face? And I don't know if it's that when we get older, that like older guys are less aware of that, or they just don't give a shit. And it's not just, gay men or in sex, right? Like my dad, who's 71 now, will like murder you with the story and just go on and on and on. He volunteers at the food pantry and he'll just go on and on and on about it. And the person's like, okay, yeah, and they're like physically backing up,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
trying to walk, and he's just like stepping closer, like telling another story. And it's like, okay, like, do you, like, like, what's going on here? Or is it because you're so in need of, like that you're so hungry for community or connection or whatever, that you're not even paying attention to what this person's level of, receptivity is to you? But I think there's like an invitation to really practice ways to tune into your partner, what they're saying, what their body language is saying. Um, and I think that, in turn makes you much better lover and have better experiences.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say well, I don't know, but I don't think that a lot of men don't care. I think that a lot of men have learned sex is like a doing thing. Like they're just thinking, I just have to do these things to have sex, instead of being like, it's like a really vulnerable experience because there's another person there, so we're gonna have to like go with the flow because I can't control the other person. And so I have to be open to like maybe doing something different or shifting and checking in and asking. But I think that like a lot of guys just don't say, hey, are you enjoying this? Like, are you happy with the sex that we're having? And a lot of guys, like even for myself, I'm like, right? Like I don't want to say, it's so hard to say to a guy that the sex is bad, even though like the intention of it is to say like, I want it to be better. Like, but I have to tell you that the things that you're doing aren't working because a lot of guys have a fragile ego, especially when it comes to sex, and can take that as it feels. I mean, it can feel very rejecting and criticizing, which is not the point of why I would bring it up. But it's hard because I'm scared of how that person's going to take it.
Yeah, and I think building on that, uh, I think a lot of people when they have sex are more kind of focused on what they want. Like this is what I want, this is what I need. It's a feeling of taking. And sometimes it feels really fun to be taken from, and a lot of times it doesn't. And so like you can be sucking someone's dick and it's for you. Does that
Mm-hmm.
person want their dick sucked? And you'd be like, well,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's, it's a blowjob. Of course they want it. Well, no, not necessarily, right? Like you might be
Mm-hmm.
doing that for you. And so it takes conversation and awareness to also engage that person about what it is that they want, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's that wheel of consent, right? Giving and taking, and um, that's something that we teach, like in Himeros retreats with guys, and I think people really. We had this older guy, and he was really struggling to understand that, like, he could be sucking someone's dick and it be for him, but it's like Yeah. Yes. This is a thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, and right, like that's why like communication is so important to be able to just make sure everyone's on the same page. But the best is when you are with someone that you feel safe with and can just communicate with your bodies. Because like that's the thing is like when I'm looking and I'm trying to attune to my partner or whoever I'm having sex with or whatever, I'm paying attention to like what does their face look like? What is the expression they're making? Do they like moan a little bit more when I touch them in this place? Or if I stop touching them all of a sudden, are they still moaning? Is that real? And like, so
Hmm.
I kind of pay attention to like, what is their body doing? Because their body is communicating in this way as well to me, right?
And on that as well, I think the next step is they might ask for something, whether it's through their moans or through actual words, that you don't want to give. And
Mm-hmm.
to be able to say, like, I was recently with someone and it was evident that they like wanted me to, like, it started with a little bit of light choking, but they wanted me to actually like hit them in their face. And eventually he said that he's like, yeah, like slap me. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to. And he was like, no, like, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, it's okay. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm telling you, that's not something I'm able to offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, it means also having those conversations and sometimes during sex to do that in a way that, like, doesn't kill the mood. It takes practice, right? But, like, ultimately, I think the end goal is having better, more fulfilling, more fun, more nourishing sex, and those are all stepping stones in that journey.
And in that example, I would do it beforehand. If that's something that you're thinking, like if it came to you in the moment, then whatever. But like if you're like into that, just have that conversation beforehand so that you don't have to bring it up during sex, right?
Mhm. Totally, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was with one guy one time where it was like right at the beginning. It wasn't great sex, but it was like right at the beginning where things were still pretty like slow and mild, and he spit in my face, but like it was so out of nowhere that like and so not in the moment. Like it wasn't like we were just like touching each other slowly and then just spit in my face, which I wasn't ready for. And so it totally so I was like, okay, I gotta like wipe my face off now. And so
Yeah.
it's hey, that's not you should have asked me to do that beforehand.
And it's so instantly cold too. I've had that
Yeah.
same thing happen and someone, like, spits in your face without asking, and you just feel this, like, cold spit, like, clammy spit dripping off
Yeah.
your face, and you're like, "Okay." Like, that would definitely fall into the category of something that you should talk about before you do it. Don't
Yeah.
just spit in
Yeah.
someone's face on a whim.
Yeah. Do you find that if you have a deeper emotional connection with someone, the sex is better?
I feel like I look for different things when I have a deeper emotional connection with someone. Like I look for me, it moves from a place of like getting off to this is more about me expressing my love for that person. And I think a lot of instances, like pleasure is even secondary. It's like we have this connection and I love you and I want to express that with my body. And like often that might mean not having penetrative sex, like, not really worrying about ejaculation. That kind of I tend to get different things out of those experiences versus, some hot guy from the gym and you really just wanna, like, experience each other's bodies and have fun and probably, won't be seeing a lot of this person in your life. So, yeah, I kinda get different things out of different connections.
Yeah, I used to think of myself as a demisexual, but I think the reason why I thought that is because I was like, oh, I really only enjoy sex with guys that I like really like or I'm dating or something like that. But I think I realized I was like, there's just a lot of guys who don't make me feel safe. So I don't think it
Yeah.
has anything to do with like out to be emotionally liking the guy. I think I just need the guy to make me feel safe. So I always say I'm like, I need to at least like if I meet someone on Grinder, we're going to grab a coffee and like hang out for like an hour before just so I can like feel safe with this person and be like, "Oh yeah, he's a nice guy. Like I can connect with him." And then it makes the sex feel like, "Okay, I'm not triggered walking into it."
And do you ever have that experience and you have coffee and you're like, "You know what? I actually don't feel like this is gonna be safe or gonna be good for me."
I've had it where I can't think of a time where I didn't feel safe afterwards, but I've had it where I was like, I just don't want to have sex with you.
Mhm.
Like I would just became less attracted to them. Uh,
So what do you
just because
say?
actually, I'm not really into it, right? So, like, for example, I remember one time I invited the guy over there was like, maybe I shouldn't have done that because he was like really expecting us to have sex. And then when we were hanging out, I was like, I don't really want to have sex with this guy. Like, I'm just not really attracted to him. So it's going to feel like work. So I told him in that I was like, like I'm just not really feeling well. I wasn't really sure I would be up for it tonight. Like, do you mind if we just hang out? Which was fine, but I could tell he was kind of disappointed. But I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not gonna have sex with him just to make him feel better and me feel like I have to do a job just to make sure he's okay.
totally. Yeah, totally. It is tough when they're at your house
Yeah,
because
yeah,
then it's not you removing yourself from the situation, which is a lot easier. Like, oh, all
yeah,
right,
yeah,
I gotta go. It's more you having to remove him from your house. It
yeah,
gets a little
yeah, yeah.
little trickier. Yeah, yeah.
So I have one question left for you. What is exciting you most about your life right now?
Well, actually, after this podcast, my boyfriend's here right now, and we're gonna go install a hammock in my garden. So we have these like deep holes that we dug, and we're gonna pour some Quikrete in and have this own little cute little hammock hideaway in my backyard. I'm excited about my garden. I'm excited about the summer. I'm excited about exploring this chapter of my relationship. There's a lot of things that are very alive for me. So yeah. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
All right.
It is
Well,
nice.
thanks. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's like living in Toronto. I feel like one day I might have to like move back out into the wilderness or just like quieter, slower paced.
It depends what's important to you. I mean, if you like raves and, clubs and dancing, like that's not going to be out here. But if you like,
Yeah.
quiet moments in the garden and sipping tea, like yeah. But,
I mean, the reality is like I'm not at a rave like most of the time, right? Like that's even if I went twice a month, that's still only like,
yeah. Yeah.
couple nights a month. And so most of my time I spend just like by myself, uh, and like in a purposeful way. Like even when I get up in the morning, I drink my coffee and I used to always just get up and dance like right out of the gate. And now I kind of sit and take like maybe 15 minutes to sit in my coffee with no music or anything and not look at my phone and just think about things and like see what comes up. And it helps me like feel like I ease more into the day to like deal with whatever anxiety pops up first thing in the morning.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Davey.
Yeah. My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Hey, thanks for listening or watching. If this conversation turns something on in you, even just a little curiosity, let me know. Comment, follow, or share it with someone you think would vibe with it. Appreciate you being here.